My name is Jeff Millard. I spent 9 years in the New York Army National Guard. 13 months of that was spent as a sergeant in Operation Iraqi Freedom, stationed at Forward Operating Base Speicher. But on a day in the early summer of 2005, in the area of operation of the 42nd Infantry Division, there was a traffic control point shooting. What happened was a vehicle was driving very quickly towards a traffic control point. A young machine gunner made the split-second decision that that vehicle was a threat, and in less than a minute, put 200 rounds from his 50 caliber machine gun into that vehicle. That day, he killed a mother, a father, and 2 children. The boy was age 4, and the daughter was age 3. I was in the briefing that evening when it was briefed to the general. And after the officer in charge briefed it to the general in a very calm manner, that commander turned in his chair to the entire division-level staff, and he said, and I quote, "If these fucking Hajis learned to drive, this shit wouldn't happen." It's really easy to get revved up and go, yeah, we're gonna go kill these motherfuckers. That's my mentality, you know, post 9/11. I wanted to kill these motherfuckers. Whoever did it, I wanted to kill them.
A lot of time I just thought like, okay, well, we're liberating these people from this evil dictator, Saddam Hussein, you know, like, we're doing a good thing here.
I was 17 when I joined, and I was really excited. I loved it. I mean, I always grew up believing that to be in the military was a fine and noble thing. You know, that to give yourself for your country, to give back for, you know, the freedoms you were given, for the rights that you had, was just a wonderful thing.
I went to 3 different tours, you know, so I saw right after the invasion where there would be people lining the streets, you know, throwing flowers at us and all kinds of crap, you know. And then by the time I had gone to my 3rd tour, everybody wanted us out. They're like, what are you doing? You know, you kicked out Saddam and now you're gonna kill the rest of us, or like what, you know?
And then when I realized that we weren't the good guys, that really messed me up. You know, we weren't the good guys. I couldn't find an instance where we were the good guys.
I had really come to realize that I was on the bullies team, and that was absolutely not what I had signed up for. After I got home from my 3rd deployment, I was so angry at that time and lost. I felt betrayed by the Marine Corps and by America.
Steve Martello, U.S. Army.
Jason Washburn, United States Marine Corps.
Frank Bernays, Army National Guard.
Selena Copper, U.S. Army.
Jesse Hamilton, U.S. Army. Vic Morgan, U.S. Army Reserves.
To my mind, if you were in the Army, you know, you were always the good guys. And if for some reason the Army wasn't doing the right thing or the country wasn't doing the right thing, it was your patriotic duty to change it. So, I mean, my anti-war activism really grew out of my belief in the Army, ironically enough.
When I arrived there, my captain told me that my job was to elicit information. This meant that I could elicit information in any means possible. He told me that I can use any technique I can think of, and the idea is don't get caught. And what he meant was I could beat these people, I could cut them, I could probably shoot them. I never shot anyone.
I saw one case where there were 2 prisoners, and one prisoner was staked out on the ground, and he was cut open while he was alive. And they told the other prisoner if he didn't tell them what they wanted to know, that they would kill him. And I don't know what he said because he spoke in Vietnamese, but then they killed him after that anyway.
In November of '68, while on a routine search and destroy mission, gunships were to be providing security and cover for us in case we had any contact, were circling overhead. And the gunships got bored. So they made a gun run on a hooch with miniguns and rockets. When they left the area, we found a baby girl about 3 years old that were dead because these people were bored.
It wasn't like they were humans. You know, we were conditioned to believe that, you know, this was for the good of the nation, the good of our country, and anything we did was okay. And like when you shot someone, you didn't think you were shooting a human. They were a gook or a commie, and it was okay.
They were inferior to us. We were Americans. We were the civilized people, and you know, we didn't give a shit about those people.
We've been in here since December 15th, and normally this couch is
I put
here.
messaging on the agenda because we really need clarification on where this is taking us.
This is veterans telling our stories. That is so powerful in the fact that, like, it's inherently anti-war to tell people what we went through, because no one could hear our stories and still support this shit.
Yep. The military policies are failed. However, I think we need to include that, yes, it's hurting America. Because, you know, they want to frame that we are hurting America, our opposition's hurting America. No, the war is hurting America.
To me, the whole argument that, like, the war is bad because it's hurting America, that's not why I got involved with Winter Soldier. Which for me is that the occupations are immoral.
I think that's what this testimony is about. It's going to show that the main people who are getting hurt are in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I joined the military because I believed in defending the country. Being a soldier is supposed to be an honor and having those great ideals, and the military itself is not a bad organization, and it didn't used to be. And I'm not saying I love war, but some of us do believe that whether or not we love war, war will come eventually. It's not this. They want to make it about this. They want to make Iraq the war for our country, and it's not.
I have a solid proposal to do this, and we talk about the 1 million Iraqi dead, we talk about the 4,000 U.S. dead, and then we add things like, strategically, it's bad, it's breaking our military. Strategically, it's an occupation, we can't win. Strategically, it's wasting American money. So that would be my proposal.
I agree with that. Let's do that.
So we are going with...
All right.
If the military is strong, there's no GI resistance.
This I disagree
The whole
with.
point of GI resistance
This I
is that it
disagree with.
undermines the military's ability to accomplish its objective, creating fear in political leadership.
Well, the
That's
thing
how
is-
the Vietnam War ended, because the military wasn't strong. I don't want a strong military. A strong military could sustain occupations in Iraq and Afghanistan indefinitely. I don't want that.
I mean, I don't want us to give any excuse that the Attorney General can declare us a subversive organization officially.
I would be really proud to be declared a subversive organization. It would mean that we're having a lot more impact than we are now.
All right.
Do you
fine.
think there should be a strong military within the United States?
I don't see how that's relevant. Because if I say no, how is it relevant?
Even when I began being an anti-war organizer, I really thought that I would still be able to stay in to kind of help guide the change from within the Army. I didn't see the two as incompatible. You know, expressing my constitutional liberties and protecting my constitutional liberties. I thought the Army was a good organization, but engaged in the wrong fight.
You demonstrated superior ability, initiative, and motivation by graduating at the top of your class. Receiving this certificate is Sergeant Selena Copa, graduating with an average of 93.7%.
Class 08070, right, face. Post.
And it's probably going to be interesting because I'm sure that as soon as I testify at Winter Soldier, I'll immediately be demonized. You know, oh, she was a bad NCO, she was no good. I mean, this is so important on so many levels just to get this war ended. You know, I'm tired of seeing people die. I'm tired of seeing funerals, but it's so dangerous at the same time. You know, just to be speaking up. I mean, I have a friend of 7 years who's being investigated just for associating with me. You know, and this command didn't do anything to me, probably because they want to get me out the door, but my next command when I'm in Germany, you know, if they want to choose to interpret what I've been doing in a negative light, I mean, it sounds funny to say, but I can actually go to jail.
Hi, Bill. This is Jeff Millard with Iraq Veterans Against the War. I served for 9 years in the U.S. military, 13 months of which was in Iraq. Well, we're attempting to cover 11 topics, actually. Could you hold on for just a second for me, please? Thanks. Killing or wounding of non-combatants, mishandling and mutilation of war dead, illegal weapons. As you may or may not have known, during the Siege of Fallujah, the Army openly admitted to using weapons that are banned by the Geneva Convention. Sweet. Whew. I actually had somebody from the press call back. Good sign, good sign. And it's Newsweek, too, so we've got a Newsweek report. Yeah.
If you were to pick up the paper the day after Winter Soldier, what does the headline say about Winter Soldier?
Hundreds of veterans testify in nation's capital.
Mission not so accomplished. Veterans break silence. Combat veterans break silence about the war.
So what gets the Washington Post wanting to use this headline? Now, what are we sharing?
The truth.
Truth we're not.
I know that y'all already ruled out.
I think experiences is really good.
I'm all for veterans sharing their stories, but I don't know that it's activist enough.
And I think that the raw experience of combat is inherently anti-war, because most people cannot hear what actually happens in a combat zone and want that to happen further. Okay, so 35 years ago, a tradition began of soldiers taking responsibility.
Soldiers coming home. That's
Yeah, soldiers coming home, of sharing their experiences with the American public. It's too touchy-feely.
Yeah. Those creepy words.
Of breaking the silence attached
Bingo.
to serving in a war. Those who served will no longer be silent.
Bingo.
That's awesome. Hey, good job. Ooh, feel good about that one.
Good.
Now, let's just see if anyone will actually read it. I took the coward's way out when I went to Iraq. No doubt about it. I took the coward's way out and deployed. Had I really followed my heart, had I really followed my conscience, I wouldn't have deployed. It's not brave to go fight a war when everyone around you is going to fight a war. It's groupthink. It's really easy to get revved up and go, yeah, we're going to go kill these motherfuckers.
Are you not concerned that what you're doing might be undermining the kind of morale that the soldiers over there need?
No, I'm not worried about undermining morale because I know service members. I was one for 9 years, and when I was in Iraq, I really wanted people to discuss the war that was going on. And so, no, I don't think it's going to upset morale.
We know what happened in 1971 when John Kerry conducted one of these winter soldier testimonies. He had a bunch of people who did nothing but spew false information.
That's total lie. Lie number one.
Basically stained a whole generation of warriors in Vietnam, and we don't want to see that happen again.
I'm not applying any judgment to what we did or what we witnessed. They're judging it. We want to give our experience to the American people and let them judge for what it is. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you what a war crime is. I'm not a human rights activist. I can't tell you what an atrocity is. I can tell you what I went through. So I'm gonna get going.
Got a bit of a tan though going on.
Just a little bit. There are a lot of beautiful women in DC. It's a rough place to be for a single guy. I was an explosives expert before I could vote, drink, or get a tattoo. Yeah, that was my first job in the Army, was explosives. It's really fun until you realize you're blowing up people. It is. When I was stationed in Germany, right, I used to just fucking be out in the woods, blowing shit up, it was so much fun just to be out there with a rifle and doing war games and stuff. But then when you actually get into combat, it's a whole different story. But this is the great thing about living in DC, though, is you're a part of things. Whenever anything happens, you're in the thick of things here, and it can get you down a lot because a lot of things that happen are negative. But every once in a while, you get that glimmer of hope.
The #1 show that dominates cable news, The O'Reilly Factor.
Now for the top story tonight, joining us from Washington, Jeffrey Mallard, the D.C. chapter president for Iraq Veterans Against the War.
I find it actually kind of despicable as a veteran of the Iraq War that I can't see on TV people actually talking about the war. Instead, they talk about people who talk about the war instead of actually discussing the war, discussing what's actually happening.
It's hard to discuss a situation that is not within our grasps.
Well,
we have correspondence.
Media is not an easy thing, Bill. I'm not asking for easy tasks. I didn't ask for an easy task when I signed up for the military and I volunteered.
Fine, but look, we have correspondence in Baghdad, and they are limited.
My mom and I talk a lot about politics now, but we were never raised with politics. Just sort of happened, developed over time. My mom used to call me the rebel without a clue. She said I was always rebelling against something and just didn't know what I was rebelling against. And to her, I guess I just found what I was rebelling against. I don't know. I don't have this set path that I'm supposed to be on, and I'm just kind of feeling my way in the dark. And that means I mess things up, and I change my opinions, and I change my mind, and I become somebody different. But it's still, it's from the same place, with the same goals in mind. So.
Do the high five in the air.
Is that it? Or some more? Okay, some more. Go on here.
I love the mass kidnappings.
Yeah.
You do those, basically cordon off an area, then you go in, every male between 16 and 60, take them, throw them in a truck, because they could shoot at us, they could be helping the enemy, they could be planting IEDs, and then ship them off to a prison for God knows how long.
Well, my name is Jason Washburn. Was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps, and now I am a field organizer with IVAW. For a long time, I was really turned off to the whole thing, and initially I didn't really want to be involved in it. And
I was kind of against it at the beginning too, because I was like, man, we're really putting ourselves out there for some criticism if we don't do it right. They're going to call us out for kind of calling ourselves out and calling other troops murderers.
like they're still there, you know, these guys over here, they're the ones that are doing these atrocities, they're committing these things and doing these things, and that's not what Winter Soldier's about. This is pointing the finger at policy, pointing the finger at, you know, people at the top, the people that are sending us to do these things.
This is our chance to go in front of the country and be like, we're not anti-troop, we're anti-war, we're anti the policies, so we really gotta stick together on this one. Because there's still a level of risk in doing this. Like,
absolutely.
If we're not careful, Fox and Bill O'Reilly will spin the shit out of it and we can get hurt. So we gotta remain vigilant.
They're gonna spin the shit out of it.
They're going to anyway, exactly.
War freed the slave! War saved the Jews!
You're peace Nazis. You are always against this country. You have never once taken the side of your country in any conflict.
IVAW is the group of traitors who are trying to defame and slander our soldiers. They're saying that our American military are creating atrocities and stuff like that, when they're not.
Victory brings peace! Victory brings peace! Victory brings peace! Victory brings peace!
We recently learned that the Iraq Vets Against the War are seeking to cast aspersions on our brave warriors serving in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I have a message for the Iraq Veterans Against the War. Shame on you. You used to belong to the most noble brotherhood on the face of this earth, the Band of Brothers. You have betrayed your brothers, and one day you will regret what you are doing.
All right, so what's the article about?
The article, it's talking about Jason and saying that what he's going to testify about is a lie.
Yeah, it's just making assumptions
just-
about him
yeah,
and
thanks.
accusations.
I mean, they're free to think whatever they want, but they're wrong. And, you know, there's a lot of work going into verifying the testimonies and stuff, so I'm pretty sure that all of our stuff is going to be, you know, like if there's any stories they can't verify, they're not using them.
I know that a lot of the right-wing pro-war crowd is kind of looking very, like, with a fine lens. I mean, I know it has some people nervous because they've been showing up a lot more.
Well, I actually fairly recently got an email from an old friend of mine that was, you know, in the Marines with, and there was all kinds of stuff in there, like, you know, you're a traitor and blah, blah, blah. I can't believe you're stabbing us in the back like this, and, you know, why don't you just take up your RPG and I'll see you on the battlefield or whatever. And I'm like, I had to write him back and be like, whoa, whoa, you know, where are you getting this from? You know? Like we were spilling the same sweat and blood in the same mud. How can you even say this, you know? You know me.
So basically everyone who will be sharing their story at the Winter Soldier event will have been verified to the greatest degree possible. Everyone will have proof of their military service, and a lot of people have a lot of photos, a lot of people have people that they served with that are going to be there also. So we're taking every step that we can to make sure that, you know, the experiences relayed are accurate.
He was in Iraq.
There's a culture in the military where we're taught to kind of like keep things, you know, on the inside. Don't talk about any of this stuff or share any of this with the outside, because it's like, it's almost viewed as like a betrayal.
I don't carry placards.
Are you helping roll a barrel? He is a placard.
I am.
Never mind.
Myself. I was okay. I am. I'm totally a diva. Whatever.
Sir, you'll find Metro's rule is that you cannot bring it in here. Metro's law. Wait, just wait here. Wait here. The police will get. Yes, you are. You can't get on the train.
You can't detain me.
No, you can't.
You have no authority to detain me.
That's all right. They're going to detain you when they take you out of here.
Okay, then tell them to get down here then. Moron. Okay, I'll see you later. I'm getting on this train. Well, I have an adrenaline rush right now. It happens every time there's a chance that I might go to jail. I get like really jittery, like my hands are shaking.
It's like walking on rose petals.
Only not.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey Kyle, it's Selena. You called me last night at 4 in the morning. I was so not able to talk then, but I was right now hoping you'd give me a call back and we could talk about IVAW. All right. Talk to you soon, I hope. Bye.
Oh, you so did the sexy voice. That was such bullshit. That poor dude's gonna be like, he's like, she's hot for me, dude. You know, I feel funny.
There we go. It should dry like that. So, IVAW, beauty regimen.
I support the troops and everything, but I'm not gonna speak out against the war.
Well, you don't have to, but like, I mean, this is just like written by soldiers. Like,
okay. I don't
mean,
that's all right.
You don't want to read it?
Yeah, I'm good.
You don't want to see what soldiers have to say?
I'm good.
Actually, okay, I'll get you like up here, and we'll just stand in this like sunny.
A silent and growing population of active duty soldiers say they're against the war in Iraq. One group of Fort Hood soldiers is speaking out and encouraging others to do the same.
I love the Army, but I can't be quiet anymore. One of the major things they teach us in the Army is values. You know, honor, integrity, courage.
These and hundreds of other soldiers and vets nationwide plan on testifying in Washington next month to let Congress know how they feel.
It was just a little weird over here because like this is the first time I've been out on film. Here is Sergeant Selena Copa identified by subtitle at the bottom of the screen. You know, so it was a little bit weird, but.
This isn't the first time you've done video.
No, I understand that, but this is the first time this is probably the first time a mainstream news outlet picked up her video and built an entire. I'm not complaining about it. Like that's exactly what she wanted to happen.
Can you get me a full update on the current legal situation?
No, where is it?
Because I mean, I think we're just going out on a limb here if her chain of command hasn't even said shit to her. Can we continue this conversation?
Do you want me to call her first, or are you comfortable doing it? All right.
It's hard also in a lot of ways because I'm a little public now and that I've been on, videos and interviews and things like that, but Winter Soldier is going to be big and I can be court-martialed. It's terrifying in a sense. I have a daughter, I don't know how I would be able to explain it to her. That her own government that she's been taught to love would think about putting mommy in jail, If cell doors close behind you, then cell doors close behind you.
go, man.
Good.
They bumped us last week. I'm at the Winter Soldier Conference, where many people are testifying to what they experienced in Iraq, but it's hard to verify.
It's an intense amount of media here. It's way past what we dreamed we would end up hitting. So to see that there's still media registering, and then like you look out at that parking lot, it's completely stacked full of people.
Hopefully we'll drop a love bomb on people's hearts.
I've had like 7 or 8 interviews in the last day.
Fucking scared shitless right now.
Yeah.
You good?
Tell me it happened. Tell me it happened. Tell me.
No, that's
Winter soldiers, according to Thomas Paine, are those Americans who stand up for the soul of their nation in its darkest times. And we're carrying on a legacy of hundreds of years of veterans and soldiers speaking out and resisting against policies that are unjust and that damage the military and damage humanity.
Hello, my name is Jason Washburn. I was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps, in which I served 4 years. If the town or the city that we were approaching was a known threat, if the unit that went through the area before we did took a high number of casualties, we were basically we were allowed to shoot whatever we wanted. It was deemed to be a free fire zone. And there was really, there was really no rule governing the amount of force we were allowed to use on targets during the invasion. I remember one woman was walking by, and she was carrying a huge bag, and she looked like she was heading towards us. So we lit her up with the Mark 19, which is an automatic grenade launcher. And when the dust settled, we realized that the bag was only full of groceries. She had been trying to bring us food, and we blew her to pieces for it.
My name is Jason Hurd. I served in Baghdad, Iraq from 2004 to 2005 with Troop F, 2nd Squadron, 278th Regimental Combat Team. I recently completed 10 years of honorable service to my country. We were out conducting a dismounted patrol one day, and I walked up to a man with my interpreter, and I said, "Sir, I would like to know, is your life better now that the Americans are here? Are we making your lives safer because we are here?" And he looked at me and he said, "Mister, we understand that you have good intentions here, but the fact of the matter is that before the U.S. invaded, we didn't have to worry about car bombs in our neighborhoods. We didn't have to worry about the security and safety of our children as they walked to school. And we didn't have to worry about U.S. soldiers shooting at us as we drive up and down our own streets."
Every organization in the world has its bad apples, from the military to corporations. Again, if this stuff happened, even if it's just the indiscriminate actions of a few, there's no way it can slander the whole, because the majority of our soldiers who are over there, they're doing the right thing, they're serving honorably. And whatever comes out of this investigation, true or not, it's going to be made to slander the whole. And that's what we're trying to prevent here.
What kind of verification process do these guys go through? How sure are you that these guys have actually been in Iraq and seen the things that they say that they've seen?
Well, our verification team is very in-depth. See, we have an advantage today that we haven't had in the past, and that's digital video, digital audio, and digital pictures that we talk about. And the fact is, these are soldiers that are telling their stories.
Okay, good.
is the questionnaire that we've developed just to kind of get a sense of what's been going on and where your testimony might be placed. Did you ever participate in or observe the killing or wounding of a civilian or unarmed combatant?
Yes.
Is that something you can talk about?
No.
Have you seen mutilation of bodies?
Yes.
Can you talk about it?
No.
How prevalent was the use of racist or derogatory terminology towards civilians? If so, which terms?
Very prevalent. Haji, Sam Nigger, Camel Jockey, Ahmed, Ali. I mean, it's truly sad to see people in their darkest hour, isolated from everything that they've known, was taught to them, and loved. It's horrible to see how people operate. This is destroying you and me, and it takes away any chance that we may have a normal, functional lifestyle because we've been reduced to living like animals.
The first thing they tried to do was medicate me. No therapy was recommended, medications were recommended. They gave me 3 different medications. The first was Trazodone, the second was Paxil, and the third was Gabapentin, a generic form of Neurontin. My doctor told me that PTSD treatment is not a science, that there is no science to it, and that you can mix and match these medications and something may work for you that doesn't work for another vet. And I did research on the medications that I was given. And I found out that the main side effect of all 3 medications is suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies. 10,000 Iraq war vets have committed suicide. My name is Zoli Peter Goodman. I'm a proud warrior and a prouder patriot. And that's my problem with the VA. When we first came back from Iraq, we had a party. My buddy hung himself in his closet with his belt. I still got his belt. I still got the belt. I took him down out of his closet. It makes me so angry. And then I was never angry. Like growing up, I was never angry. Never, never. You couldn't get me angry. You could not get me to fight you. And now I get angry enough to man, I mean, I get angry enough to want to kill sometimes. Like I hate my country. I hate the people. I mean, there's people outside waving American flags trying to get me not to exercise my freedom of speech. And then when I go back home, I'm going to be labeled as a traitor, and I'm going to be labeled as a liar and a treasonist. And it sickens me to my very core that I ever fought for these people. It sickens me that there was once a time when I believed that the security and sovereignty of my home was challenged, and I went and fought for that, and it was total bullshit, and now it's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have missed it for anything. I love you. I'm so proud of you.
We have to take a picture on the other side. Do you want Marilyn?
but some great stuff. I mean, we had BBC World, BBC Arabic. I mean, there's like every BBC outlet is here and doing interviews. There was Stars and Stripes was here and did an awesome piece.
Yeah.
I mean, I intellectually knew that the media would be here in force, but I did not expect them to be, I guess, roaming the halls so much and so many random interviews.
What's the thing that we have lost by, either as a country or for you as a human being? What do you feel that you have lost because of the war?
Our innocence. Absolutely our innocence. It's a terrible thing to see 19-year-olds with dead eyes. You know, people who... I've lost some of my soldiers. I've lost one to suicide. And it's a result of the fact that, yes, they can never look at themselves the same way again. We can never look at our country the same way again. I will never have that faith again, that absolute blinding faith that my country will always do the right thing.
Presumably all of you volunteered for the military for a reason or for a variety of reasons, and I wonder, in retrospect now, whether you regret having made that decision.
I would like to say that I do not regret my decision to join the military, nor do I regret my decisions to re-enlist 3 times. I would stand up again and again to defend my country whenever and wherever and however it was required. The occupation in Iraq is not defending my country. It is not supporting the oath that I swore.
One day we were on a dismounted patrol. As is policy, we were to keep all cars away from our formation. And so a car was approaching us from the front. So I began doing my levels of aggression. I held up my hand, trying to get the car to stop. The car sped up. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is it. This is someone who is trying to hurt us. And so I raised my weapon, and the car kept coming. I pulled my selector switch off of safe, and the car kept coming. I was applying pressure to my trigger, getting ready to fire on the vehicle, and out of nowhere, a man came off of the side of the road, flagged the car down, and got it to pull over. He walked around to the driver's side door, opened it up, and out popped an 80-year-old woman. If a foreign occupying force came here to the United States, and regardless of what they told us, whether they told us they were here to free us, to liberate us, and to give us democracy, do you not think that every person that owns a shotgun would not come out of the hills and fight for their right to self-determination?
What's the impact on a combat vet such as yourself on sharing and hearing these stories?
Well, it's twofold. It can be very traumatic. It can bring up a lot of things that we hadn't even thought about. But at the same time, there is something very, very empowering about telling your story, about finally standing up and saying, this is what I experienced, and I'm going to talk about it.
Hey, y'all. My name is Clifton Hicks. Before I begin, though, I just have a brief statement I'd like to say. For the infantrymen, scouts, and tankers of C Troop, 1st Squadron, 1st United States Cavalry Regiment, there are a few words which can express my admiration. I can merely say that I love them with all of my heart. These were men who risked everything for a cause which they believed was just and true, and for that they are beyond judgment. And I am no judge, and I have not come here to pass judgment either on my fellow soldiers or the officers who once commanded us in war. I'm simply here today to pass judgment on war itself. First item, April 2004, Free Fire Zone in the Abu Ghraib neighborhood During Operation Blackjack, my troop was specifically instructed by our troop commander, a captain, that a particular sector we were moving to recon enforce was now considered a free-fire zone. I specifically recall him telling us that there were, quote, no friendlies in the area. And then he specifically said, quote, game on, all weapons free. My unit embraced the weapons-free order by firing indiscriminately into occupied civilian vehicles and at civilians themselves. The streets were littered with numerous human and animal corpses, not just men, but all manner of humanity. And this is what happens when a conventional force, such as the U.S. military, attacks a heavily populated urban area. They put us in a situation, you know, we're not bad people. You know, we were there because we thought it was the right thing to do. We were there because we thought we were going to make things better. We were there because we thought these people wanted us to be there. And then you show up and you realize that there's a whole bunch of people there that want to kill you. And guess what? They look just like the folks who don't want to kill you. So are you going to sort them out and figure it out? Only way to ensure your survival is to make sure that you put them in the dirt before they put you in the dirt, to put it bluntly. And I'm sorry to say that. You know, I don't think anybody in this room or anybody who's been to Iraq gives a fuck about bringing freedom or whatever you want to call it to those motherfuckers over there. And that's another thing I struggle with is that, you know, I feel really bad about my buddies who got killed, but there's nothing in this world so far that has made me give a fuck about all the people that we killed over there, because I just can't afford to. I can't, well, I think I was even telling Frank that, and I was telling somebody else that it just doesn't pay to give a shit. You got to be a callous fucker over there to live, and you got to be a callous fucker back here to live with what you live through.
So if you were tasked with redecorating this room, and you came in, what's the first thing you'd throw out?
I'd take that shit out. Because I've been home for too long. I'm not a hero. I am alone, and I didn't do a good job.
What I try to do with my talks and with my work is I try to bring the reality home here, because I think that's the only way this war is ever going to end. Until people know the suffering that people are going through over there, they're not going to ever care. Back here, it's about a lot of you know, abstract ideology. It's about freedom and democracy and all this other shit. It's not about any of those things. When you look at the reality, these people are suffering, and it's because of us. And it's going to be hell there for years to come. Even if we leave right now, we have screwed it up that bad. And you know, doing stuff like this is my way of saying I'm sorry, you know, to the Iraqi people.
Don't come in here, make wild claims against the United States military and not be able to back them up. War crimes do not have a statute of limitation. People that are in there participated in war crimes, they're still responsible.
You know, obviously there are going to be situations where bad things could happen. There are mistakes made, but to say that it's a systematic and being led from our commanders down is totally false.
Having this on Capitol Hill with the members of Congress are here. They're the ones that are like covering the protests to stop an administration. And so they're here to say to the Congress, we elected you to stop the war. They were.
Iraq Veterans Against the War would like to respond to today's statement made by the Department of Defense. These service members and veterans' testimonies are ultimately not about individual conduct, but about the nature of occupation. This is not a war that can be won. It is an occupation that can only be ended. Thank you.
My name is Joyce Lucy, and I'm the mom of Corporal Jeffrey Michael Lucy. Jeffrey's death should never have happened. He was caught between the humanity of what he saw and what he had to do. My son was let down by the government, who sent him to fight their war of choice and destroyed his soul.
At about 11:30, Jeffrey asked me if he could just sit in my lap and I could rock him. We sat there for about 45 minutes and I was rocking Jeff and we were in total silence. It was his last place of refuge. The next day I came home. It was about 7:15. I held Jeff one last time as I lowered his body from the rafters and untook the hose from around his neck.
After Jeffrey died, we found a note in the cellar, and it said, "I am truly embarrassed of the man I became.
I am truly embarrassed of the man I became, and I hope you can try to remember me only as a child when I was happy, proud, and enjoyed life." You know, I look at you guys and I was listening to you guys and you were Jeff. I mean, God, you guys were Jeffrey. So when are you guys? That's scary. That's really scary.
Because he told me, he told me he saw civilians killed trying to get into their house, shot down a family. Just things that, and I'm looking at him thinking, and he's way off, and he's not even looking at me, actually. He was looking out into the woods, talking, staring. And I didn't even have to be there. It was almost like he was watching this film, and he's just talking, monotoned, I don't know. But anyway, I'm angry. They took my son away. I can't say it.
That's okay.
Logan, John Turner. John Turner. John Turner.
What would happen if everything that's going on over in Iraq and Afghanistan, what if that happened on American soil? How would you feel if someone came into your house at 3 o'clock in the morning and terrorized your family? How would you feel about that? I'm asking you.
Good afternoon. My name is John Michael Turner. I served with Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines as an automatic machine gunner. On April 18th, 2006, I had my first confirmed kill. This man was innocent. I don't know his name. I called him the Fat Man. He was walking back to his house, and I shot him in front of his friend and his father. The first round didn't kill him after I had hit him up here in his neck area, and afterwards he started screaming and looked right into my eyes. So I looked at my friend who I was on post with, and I said, well, I can't let that happen. So I took another shot and took him out. This is after one of the guys in weapons company had gotten shot. This is a way that we would take out our aggression. to shoot into a mosque unless you were taking fire from it. There was no fire that was taken from that mosque. It was shot into because we were angry. I just want to say that I am sorry for the hate and destruction that I've inflicted on innocent people, and that this is happening, and that until people hear about what is going on with this war, it will continue to happen and people will continue to die. I am sorry for the things that I did. I am no longer the monster that I once was. Thank you.
Yes, everything that I did and everything that other people did who are testifying here today, it was encouraged by our chain of command. But you know what? In the long run, I am the one that pulled the trigger. I could have made the decision not to. And I take responsibility for that, even though it was pushed down by the higher ups.
You know, I think when we come home, when we get out of the military, a lot of people just want to come up to us and shake our hands and tell us that we're heroes and not listen to our stories and not have to hear what we had to say, what the experience was like. And by people just telling us, thank you, you're a hero, and not listening to our stories, they're trying to absolve their own responsibility, trying to assuage their own conscience.
Leading up to Winter Soldier, a lot of us thought that that would end the war. We had this mentality that if we could tell our stories, and if they only knew, if the American public knew what we did, it would end it. It would have to. How could they know what we did and keep doing it? And America didn't even blink. Winter Soldier just happened. America didn't even blink, and war kept on going. Our friends were still being deployed. Our friends were still being killed.
DJ's going too, so he's gonna be there. And we'll grab him with you guys.
They ended up charging me for being at an anti-war march in uniform. And the captain looked at me and said, "You're a fucking traitor who kills soldiers. I don't need to see your goddamn evidence." And I said, "Okay, that's good to know." I had to do a month-long training, and they said, "Oh, well, send your daughter back to the States so you can do this training." And I said, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, it's only going to be for a month." And then they wouldn't let me go back to get her. That was really hard. That was probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to face.
I'll never get this out. I will never.
You know, they were willing to do whatever it took to me in order to get me to shut up. And finally they got me out. I haven't shut up, but at least I'm out.
Eventually, hopefully, there'll be a day where I find peace. That's the ultimate search. That's where you want to go, right? And it's hard as a war veteran to find peace.
we're just trying to show the American public that this is what happens in war. War is hell, and war is an ugly place, and a lot of ugly things happen. And these are the things that they, as the American people, are asking us to do.
Sound off, should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got them in our sight. They the ones with a lot to lose. Sound off, should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got them in our sight. They the ones with a lot to lose. Sound off, should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got them in our sight. They the ones with a lot to lose. Sound off, should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got